Joining me now live from Bundaberg in Queensland is Keith Pitt, the Nationals MP and former Resources Minister. What do you think of the Greens' solution to all this, Keith? Just tax the energy companies and put a cap on everybody's prices?
Well, there's not a lot of practicality in that, Chris. The idea that you'll tax people who are exporting from Gladstone, Darwin and Karratha and think that you could transfer that gas all the way to Melbourne and make a difference, well, that's just wrong. I mean, this is just the typical nonsense from the Greens. But don't forget federal Labor, they're having a four-way go here. You've got Prime Minister Albanese is going to talk prices down. You've got Minister Husic that's leaning over the barrier, shaking his fist and screaming at the participants. You've got Minister Bowen through the running rail and he's gone to Egypt. And the poor old Minister for Resources, who I've got a bit of time for, I've got to say, is wondering why they've lost a number and won't just come through with practical solutions. And don't forget the Treasurer up in the betting ring doing the numbers.
Well, look, we're the biggest gas exporter in the world. It sort of oscillates between us and Qatar, so there's no shortage of gas in this country. We've had state Labor governments in the main, but Liberal governments as well, ban drilling in certain areas or certain types of drilling. We've had projects stopped and abandoned. We have legal challenges. We've spent years trying to curtail our gas industry, yet now we demand we get more gas at a lower price. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's exactly right, Chris. You've got Premier Andrews and now Matt Keane from New South Wales pointing at Western Australia and Queensland saying, hey, look over there, even though they don't want to develop their own gas. And you've also got federal Labor who has funded the Environmental Defenders Office who go out there and shut down projects. They've just shut down Barossa, a $5 billion offshore gas project up in the Territory. And today we've seen Minister Plibersek announce that she's actually withdrawing 18 approvals for coal mines and gas projects, some of which are pretty much getting underway, to review them again on behalf of environmental justice, who also got some money from the federal budget.
It's just national self-harm, but I do want to give you an opportunity to say the coalition got this wrong in government sometimes too, because in the lead up to the last federal election, the coalition jumped on board and opposed the PEP 11 gas and oil exploration project off the New South Wales coast. Let's just refresh our memories.
The federal opposition leader with a commitment to cancel the PEP 11 permit off the New South Wales coastline.
We will stop PEP 11 going ahead. Full stop, exclamation mark, no question, not equivocal, no ifs, no buts.
Back in March and April of this year, the Prime Minister made it very, very clear that under a Morrison government, PEP 11 would not go ahead.
Yeah, Lucy Wicks there, of course, stressing the coalition didn't want PEP 11 either, still lost her seat. Now, you were the Resources Minister. You wanted to approve this, didn't you? This is when you were overridden by one of those secret ministries that Scott Morrison had.
Chris, it's a matter that's before the court. You know I can't make any comment. But our plan was very clear. Bring on the gas in the Beetaloo. We approved Scarborough. Dorado's ready to go for oil. We approved Barossa. We want Narrabri and those onshore fields to come through. And, of course, we had a plan to put more gas infrastructure in place so we could actually get it around what is a very big country.
All right,
now,
but you thought PEP 11 looked like a good project too. I mean, you've got to know what's out there, right? What would be wrong with getting gas off Newcastle or off the Central Coast?
Oh, that's a current case, and I can't make any comment on that particular project, Chris. But what I can say is that we had a strategy, we had a plan, we were challenged by the EDO, we were taken to court over Beetaloo, and federal Labor has funded them, $2.6 million a year, ongoing, forever, to shut more resources projects.
Right, now why do we have to pay global prices for our gas? If we had a domestic reservation for new gas, could we allow developments to happen on the basis that they sell a certain percentage of their gas domestically and at a different price, a lower price?
Well, Western Australia has a domestic reserve policy now, and good luck to them. That was good vision. The exporters out of Gladstone, well, that deal was put in place under the former federal Labor government. You can't backtrack on the policy position for when people make decisions for investment of tens of billions of dollars and then simply change the goalposts because they don't suit you. But the states can make those decisions right now. They have a constitutional responsibility. It is theirs for onshore. And what they need to do is bring on their reserves so that there is local gas. Otherwise, their manufacturers will leave, and I can't blame them.
Yeah, well, the current Industry Minister, Ed Husic, he doesn't seem to be very cooperative with the gas companies. Here he was yesterday.
This is not a shortage of supply problem. This is a glut of greed problem that has to be basically short-circuited and common sense prevail.
Keith, is there any fact in his argument? Is there any profiteering going on?
Well, gas companies are making very strong profits because the price is very strong and they'd invested over a long period of time. But Minister Hughes, he makes a lot of song and dance, but I'd love to know how he's going to get this gas from where it is right now to where they need it in Victoria and get it for the same price as they get out of the Bass Strait. The solution here is easy. They need more storage in Victoria, they need better interconnectors in terms of their gas infrastructure and pipelines, and they need to use their own domestic gas onshore in those states.
They're sitting on gas in Victoria. The whole state's sitting on gas. They don't want to pump it out. It's extraordinary. Thanks for joining us, Keith. It just confounds me, this national self-harm on energy. When I was a kid, I remember we used to be proud about the Moomba gas fields being developed and pipelines going to Sydney and Adelaide. This is a great sign of national development. Now we look on it as shame. And look at the damage it's doing to us.